everyone, and welcome to the Well Hydrated episode 48 of the Home Games Podcast. I'm Yazid, and this is Joseph.
Hello, I'm Joseph, and today is September 20th, 2020. We are back to recording a few days before we upload instead of a week and a half. Basically took a week off last week, needed it, but we're back.
We are indeed back, and I did need it. I did need some time off. It turns out.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're just like progressing with your stressful nightmare, and you're just like, yeah, this is fine. Like, this is fine, dog, really? And then you kind of take a break for just a day. You're just like, Jesus, everything is terrible.
I had the opposite. I was like, man, I needed that. I needed to chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
To nap for like 12 hours.
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
Are you back?
On Monday, I'll be back. Today, I'm still like chilling.
But do you feel like you're mentally hydrated?
No, I'm not mentally hydrated. I'm like it's like somebody who's really been really thirsty, and they found like a really stagnant puddle, and it's like a moss and algae growing in it. But I mean, they just use what they got.
Technically water.
Yeah, they aren't gonna die of dehydration. They may die of Giardia, though. That doesn't kill for a while.
Does a life straw fix that?
A life straw would prevent that.
Nice.
Which is why I'm stoked to have one.
Yeah. You ever Jesus, have you ever actually used your life straw?
So I'm very stupid, and I didn't use it the one time I should have used it.
When were you in a situation where you should have used it?
So when I did the 14-mile hike, I ran out of water, and I had to do 7 miles out with no water, which
that's dangerous.
It is dangerous, and I wasn't sweating in the last probably 3 miles. I stopped sweating, so that's like a sign of like impending heat stroke / severe dehydration. And there were puddles, and I did have the life straw that you bought me for my birthday, and I don't know, I just didn't think about stopping and
It would have been cool though. It would have been like
straw.
something about needing a life straw and using it in the moment is like a heroic act.
It really is. I can tell you what I ended up doing was I took my shirt off. I took my backpack off, took my shirt off, dipped it into this gross algae water, and then pulled it on.
Oh, to cool you off?
Yeah, because the way sweat actually like cools you off is like evaporative cooling. So like having a wet shirt, it would give you like a similar effect.
So does that actually like, I don't know anything about science, but if you put on a wet shirt when you're like dehydrated, does your body get any of that water?
No, your body doesn't absorb water through your skin, as far as I know.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
No, yeah. I when there's like a water spigot that's out there. This was like a while ago. This isn't like I was worried about coronavirus. That wasn't even a thing that many years ago. But yeah, there's like a water spigot out there. When I finally got to it, I didn't even like fill up my water bladder. I literally just put my head under the spigot and drank whatever ran off my face.
Nice.
Like, you know those like people who record their cat with the faucet where they put their head under it and like whatever runs off their hair into their mouth is fine. I was basically that. Like I just needed to cool down, get water, and then after I drank like enough, I filled up my water bladder and finished the hike out.
Water bladder is so uncomfortable for me. Just that phrase.
That phrase. Yeah. I think some people call them a Camelback for that reason.
Well, there's a brand Camelback.
There is a Camelback. I don't know. I use water bladder.
Keep doing you. For home games topics this week, we have bezel stuff, and we have Click City updates, and what I have written here is versioning fuckery, but I'll just say versioning updates.
And on my part, I have our new content piece, which I named in quotation marks, Let's Make a Game Together Using Home Games, which is very long.
It's a lot of words.
Yeah.
Because let's is also shortening of let us. So why not just go full on? Let us make a game together using home games.
Let us, I feel like, is more aggressive than let's.
Let us, yeah. Sounds too much like lettuce as well. Kind of it's not a good vibe to put out there.
I actually do use lettuce interchangeably with let us.
It goes back to your kind of let's call it quirky slang, you know?
Yeah. I'm basically the manic dream what is it? The Manic Pixie Dream Girl, but like in a...
What is that? What is Manic Pixie Dream Girl?
Oh, it's like a movie trope. Like Zooey Deschanel. You know, all of her movies, like Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Okay.
I'm kind of like that, but for a male version of it.
I kind of get that. You kind of remind me of Zoe Deschanel sometimes. You kind of have the soul, the spirit of a Zoe Deschanel.
I don't know if you're flaming me or not. Are you messing with me? Do I actually have Zoe Deschanel energy?
Sometimes. We all kind of embrace Zoe Deschanel energy at some points, you know? We've all got a little bit of the Zoe in us.
Thank you. So what's happening, man? What's going on?
Well, it's been 2 weeks since we recorded this, so I've been doing kind of some relaxation. A lot of video game playing was done. A lot of home games work was done.
Oh?
A lot of sitting down was done.
That's my favorite part.
I love sitting down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The biggest thing, I guess, besides home game stuff, I beat a bunch of video games. So I beat Destroy All Humans, which I talked about a few weeks ago. I started.
Yeah.
That game was okay.
Is it better than your initial impression of it? Because it seemed like you were pretty down on the game.
No, it's not better than my original impression. It is exactly what I said originally, which is it's simple and repetitive. And that's basically the game. Like, you kind of just do these missions and you kind of whatever. But anyway, I beat it because I wanted to beat it. And then I got all the achievements because I was like, I beat the game and then I had like 5 achievements left. I was like, okay, well, I'll just do this, you know? So I like 3-starred all the challenges and stuff like that because it just does the thing for me.
Yeah. It does the thing. It's the please, Mr. Brain, give me some serotonin.
Yeah.
Give me some dopamine.
Yeah, I need that. Like the sense of accomplishment is just all I'm looking for. Just anything giving me 3 stars. It's like, thank you. So yeah, I beat that game, uninstalled it. We'll probably never play it again, but kind of glad I beat it. And then I played a little bit more of The Last of Us, but not enough to really have any sort of significant difference. Just kind of another hour or 2 in that. It's okay. The real thing I played is Scarface.
More Scarface.
And I kind of have a tragic end to this story.
Oh.
I got to Scarface. I finished Scarfac. Got the E.
Yeah.
Did everything. Got further than I've ever gotten in the game. Was on the last mission.
Okay.
The last mission of the game. I think. I don't know. But after Scarface, you kind of get this one mission to go somewhere and do something in particular. You got to go to this island and kill a bunch of guys or whatever. And I went to the island, killed a bunch of guys, and then there's one particular part where you have to go talk to an NPC. You hit a button, and you talk to him. And every single time, because I'm playing on an emulator, every single time I hit the button, no matter what my settings are, no matter what GPU renderer I'm using, no matter what anything, crashes.
No.
Like, it starts this cutscene, which then repeats a line of dialogue. And I don't know what the line of dialogue was, but it was like it stopped becoming words at a certain point. It was just like hammering into my head of like what Tony was saying. And so it was kind of sad because like I said, I wanted to just finish the game once and for all, and I seriously did. Except for like what I'm guessing is close to the last cutscene, and the emulator just crashes every single time. So it's kind of a downer for the end of that.
That's pretty brutal.
But so I'm gonna say I beat it. I can YouTube the end.
Yeah.
But basically, kind of beat Scarface.
Nice.
It was cool. Scarface is the best game of Destroy All Humans, and I put another thing this week that I forgot about. Danger Zone. Yeah, it's whatever. It's a whatever game. I don't even want to talk about it. But but Scarface is better than those.
Nice.
Yeah.
My week actually was like the opposite. I basically just watched TV and a movie.
What movie?
So kind of like what you're talking about before with the Killer Clowns from Outer Space movie.
Yeah.
There's a classic Anaconda.
Oh, like what's his name?
Yeah, with Owen Wilson.
Wait, that wasn't what I was thinking of. I guess what's his name wasn't specific enough. Anyway, go ahead.
Owen Wilson, Danny Trujillo.
Okay. Is it Danny Trejo?
I have no idea how to pronounce his name.
I don't think there's an L in his whole name. Anyway, go ahead. The Anaconda.
Yeah. So basically, it's like a really garbage movie about these people who are supposed to be going into the Amazon to meet some like never contacted before Amazonian locals, indigenous people, not locals. And they run into the villain of the movie, who is revealed to want to hunt an anaconda, and the anaconda kills them.
Wait, you said the villain wants to hunt an anaconda?
Yeah.
Wouldn't the anaconda be the villain?
Maybe.
if he's killing everybody.
There's basically like two villains. One is a human villain, and the other one's an anaconda villain.
But those villains are at odds.
They are at odds.
It's kind of like a gray morality.
Honestly,
here. Like,
it's basically a rehash of Moby Dick.
Okay. Who's the Captain Ahab?
Captain Ahab's the human villain.
Okay.
And Moby Dick is the anaconda in this case.
Okay. Keep in mind, I know nothing about Moby Dick besides it's a whale and the guy's name is Captain Ahab.
Oh, basically
exhausted,
Captain Ahab goes crazy.
Okay.
And like basically just hires crew to go out and try to hunt this whale, and like a bunch of his crews have died doing that. And he's like basically the only survivor, and he's got like a missing arm and a missing leg and like a missing eye from fighting this whale.
And in the end, he's like, I won.
I don't remember if he kills the whale or not.
I would think. I don't know anything about this story.
Well, so the way I'm thinking of it, right? If he kills the whale, it would be kind of fitting for the time period Moby Dick was written in that humans conquered nature. But also for that time period, it might be like a cautionary tale, like don't press so hard
Chase victory.
that you're throwing away like everything. And so maybe he doesn't get the whale.
Interesting. Oh, that wasn't one of my notes, but I did want to briefly talk about the book, the culture series.
Oh, the culture series. Yeah.
So what's the first one? It's like Remember Phoebius or some shit.
Yeah. I think that's the start of like an arc. Yeah.
I sent you the text earlier this week. I was reading. I hate that book.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Oh.
It's like I'll try to keep going because I feel like the content of what the story is going to be interesting. Mm-hmm. It's called Consider Phoebius.
I don't remember the
first
names.
book of the culture series.
Yeah.
It's a book. And yeah, like your whole kind of thing about how it's this utopia where robots run things. I don't believe that it could exist. So like I want to read that story and I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
The text is so hard for me to parse.
Yes.
It's like I read the prologue twice, just trying to get what it was telling me, and it was like some ship. It's describing a ship that's been like abandoned by people, and it doesn't have the kind of guts for people to use because it kind of doesn't need that stuff. And then it like knows there's a bunch of other ships that want its resources or something, and then it blows itself up, I think.
Okay.
Something.
Yeah.
And then the first chapter, I think, is a man upside down in a prison cell drowning in human poop. I seriously do not understand the text.
I might need to reread this series. I don't remember.
And I sent you the text.
You did send me a text message.
I sent you the text of one sentence.
Yeah.
And it was like 50 words in one sentence, and half of them were real.
Yeah.
It's that kind of stuff where like I consider myself like I'm not the smartest guy on earth, but I'm not dumb. Like
yes, I agree with this.
But reading that kind of stuff makes me think I'm dumb. Like, who is reading? How is this popular?
Okay, so it's not super popular. Called the culture series isn't super popular.
Okay.
But once you get into it and like once you read enough, you start to like make sense of it. Kind of part of like what it's. I think this might be like part of the draw for science fiction and fantasy worlds and novels and stuff like that. But like as you get into it, it starts to make more sense, and then like you start to like know and understand it better, and then you meet other people who know and understand it, and then it's like it becomes like this weird like secret.
It's like your Warhammer thing.
Yeah, kind of. Yes. I mean, Warhammer stuff is like less niche than the culture series, but
is it? The culture series seems popular on Amazon. When I found it, like a bunch of people. And
yeah, I mean, with Warhammer stuff, I think a lot of people who play video games wouldn't know Warhammer exactly, but Warhammer has had a lot of spillover and effect on like sci-fi. Like StarCraft, like the original StarCraft, was supposed to be a Warhammer game.
I didn't know that.
And that got and at the last minute, Games Workshop, the people who like own Warhammer were like, actually no. And so then Blizzard was like, well, okay, we have like 90% of this done, so they just finished it, and it ended up being like a huge smash success.
I didn't know that.
And like the Spartan training program is kind of loosely based on like the Space Marine program from Warhammer and stuff like that.
Just hearing Space Marine, that's like the only Warhammer thing I've ever experienced was Warhammer 40K Space Marine, that like third person shooter. So I always hear the orcs just Space Marines every time I hear that.
Yeah. Also, like the way that the orcs talk in that world is just hilarious.
It's like a weird British accent.
They're like supposed to be. So Warhammer is like a British parody thing. It's like basically like none of it is supposed to be like serious. All of it's supposed to be like way over the top and ridiculous. And they were like, "What's the most like rowdy thing we could do?" And they chose like a Cockney soccer fan accent, and they're supposed to be like crazy soccer fan people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just Warhammer's touched a lot of things. The Culture series is a little bit more insular. Like it's the stuff from it doesn't really like spill out into other universes, basically.
Yeah, I guess I'm generally not a fan of fantasy and that kind of stuff. Like when someone makes up a world and makes up hierarchies of like the society and like all this kind of stuff is made by somebody, it's like relearning English in a way of like what even are you describing, and that stuff just has never been my thing. It's kind of like I've never read Song of Fire and Ice or whatever, any of those books, but I've heard people talk about being kind of put off because the amount of characters that they just introduce, this name, and you're just like, who are these people? I got that from the first chapter of this, and it was like 4 people. I was overwhelmed. So like, I don't think I can just do that easily. I have to kind of train myself for it.
Yeah, there is like a I mean, like, I read a lot, and like that book is hard to read.
No.
What does make it easier later on is the names are unique, so you don't need to figure out which character you're looking at. Basically, like, because you know, like, oh, this is like character X is character Y, or whatever. Like, this is like this one, this is like that one. Whereas other books I've read, they reuse character names, which makes it a little bit harder to like, who the heck are we talking about right now?
Yeah, it's kind of like why I never paid any attention in history class, because it was like King Henry the what? I don't remember the numbers. I just know King Henry. I'm over it. I'll get a D. I'm all good, and I got a D. You know,
And you were all good.
it was all good.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm very good at memorizing that like that kind of information, though.
No,
Like accidentally. It's not like I put much effort into it. I just will memorize like names and like events pretty easily.
I think another thing is that I don't read a lot, especially lately. Like I've started several books and been like, okay, these are cool, but not a lot of fiction. Just a lot of just stuff. And jumping into something that is so heavily fiction, so heavily sci-fi like that is like a shock to my brain. So, like I said, I'll keep going. But holy shit, I hate that book so far.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna enjoy reading the book. I really do think that you would enjoy that world, though. I think the world that he builds is one that you would find very enticing.
Yeah, and that's the draw for me. I wouldn't be reading if I didn't know that was the promise beyond this man drowning in shit. But
I don't remember a man drowning in shit in that book. I really legitimately don't. Are you reading the correct Culture series?
But
you have to be with that name, though.
I am not sure. I guess that's my point, is I think I read a chapter about a man drowning in shit, but I don't know.
Okay.
That's the kind of summary of me like trying to process this book.
All right.
But yeah, anyway, like I said, I'll keep going.
We'll add a book club book club portion of the podcast. I'll go and get the book and I'll read it with you.
Yeah, you might need to read it to me.
Yeah, just that I'm with you. So when you get stuck on something that's like very specific, I'm not like, I don't know, read this book like 3 years ago.
Yeah, no, but I'm excited to get to the kind of guts of it. I'm excited to get past this barrier because I think I don't think I'll be feeling like this on book 3 if I ever get to book 3.
No, honestly, like halfway through book 1, you won't even. You'll start to just like, eventually you just start to know the words. And it stops being like a weird game of like, what the hell are they talking about? And more of like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I guess my thing there is that I feel like once I get an understanding of what was really going on, the whole first half of the book or however long it took me to get to that point, I would need to reread. Because it's kind of like practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, this is what I read. Like, it was a metaphor for shit, not real. You know what I mean?
Paradise Lost was like that for me. I had to reread the first 2 chapters or 2 books of that book.
I don't know what that is.
Paradise Lost?
Yeah.
It's the English epic poem. It's about Satan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Basically, it follows after Satan lost the war with God and God threw him into hell, Satan at the start of the book starts to pull himself out of the muck finally and is like, hey, yo, which one of you angels are still alive? And they're just like, I'm here, but sad. And he's like, well, let's stop being sad and start going to fight God again. They're like, I don't know about this. And he's like, I'll go figure out what's going on. Don't worry.
So it's like Little Nicky with Adam Sandler. That's how I understand these.
Paradise Lost legitimately has like such a big influence on modern like everything. Like it's crazy.
I know the title. It's like like I said, I don't read. Like I'm not a well-read learner. You know what I mean? So just that kind of.
That's some nerd shit.
Yeah.
Don't recommend 0 out of 10. That really is like you've gotten too deep into the nerd pool that you're like, I want the original. Like, where does the story come from?
The English poem?
There's only like there's two really big ones in English, and I don't remember if Beowulf is in English, but Beowulf's the last one I need to get from like the Western Hemisphere, and then there's two in the East that I want to read.
Nice.
Yeah.
Your last book I read was a book about anxiety by Dan Reichert from Giant Bomb. That was like 5 years ago I finished that. So like I said, I'm not really big into starting and finishing fiction.
Yeah, I this is gonna be a struggle for you, I think.
Yeah.
But speaking of fiction, and not Anaconda, there's another TV show called The Owl House on Disney Channel.
Okay.
That show is so good.
Like, is it a?
So good.
It's
like
a
an
kids
animated
show.
cartoon kids show. Yes.
Okay.
I love that show.
What's it about?
It's about a girl who gets transported through a magical doorway into a witch fantasy magic-y place.
Like the Narnia thing?
Kind of like Narnia, but instead of like, ooh, there's a magic lion who's going to save everything, there's an authoritarian dictator who puts laws in place and enforces them with a iron will. Mm-hmm. And so it's definitely like a little bit more, got some more grit to it.
Yeah.
And got some, and it's kind of like, it almost like it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like they remove the glossy layer that's normally on fantasy of like everything is magical and fun, and it's more like this is kind of rough, like this is a rough and tumble world, and like things aren't going great, but the main character is still like imagines it to be like that, like high gloss fantasy world, and so she treats it as that. Like they have boiling rain, and the first time and she didn't know that they had boiling rain. She was like, oh, I'm gonna go out there and like experience, I love getting like rain on me. And they were like, don't go outside, that's boiling water.
So it's like naivete or whatever?
Yeah, like she's the naive like human, and like she can't do magic, and so she has to like learn all this stuff. And I don't know, it was just a really cool show.
Interesting. I wouldn't expect Disney Channel to have a thing about how bad authoritarianism is. But.
Yeah, even more. This is like a super LGBTQ plus representative show. Like there's a lot of like character, like I don't know how many characters there are, but like quite a few of them are like not straight, so it's like super like not what I would imagine a Disney show to be.
Yeah,
it's very cool. I like it. I don't know if you would necessarily, because you don't really like fantasy worlds to begin with. No. This is like almost like a trope reversal of fantasy world, so it's kind of cool.
Interesting. How did you find it? How'd you find a Disney show?
There was not an Ask Reddit though. There's something on Reddit where they were talking about like, ooh, what a magical fight would be. Because whenever anyone brings up magic, for some reason, everyone jumps to Harry Potter. Like that's a cool magic system. Mm-hmm. And somebody was like, yeah, their magic is kind of lame. Like watch this Owl House fight scene. And I watched it and I was like, holy cow, like, this is so cool. Like it's really well done and like creative use of magic. And then I watched the show and really, really liked it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. I haven't seen anything on Disney. Like we just watch old reruns of like That's So Raven and stuff. You know, I haven't seen anything new on Disney in forever.
Yeah. And it's not like I go deep into the Disney catalog regularly. This was like a one-off, maybe, that I just really enjoyed.
Nice. You don't have cable, right? Or do you?
No, I don't.
How do you watch it?
It's on Disney Now.
Oh, is that free?
No, my aunt works for a cable provider though, and so she gets access to it, which means I get access to it. Nice. So I just watch it using her account. I'm basically Alex, but instead of video games, it's television.
That's another thing we didn't mention on the actual show proper, because we mentioned it in the pre-thing last episode. Mm-hmm. But starting last week, we did a pre-conversation thing. Basically, the conversation that we have before we start talking is a separate thing on our YouTube channel. So it won't be on the podcast like on Spotify and stuff like that. I mean, I guess someday if people want that, we could do that. But at the moment, it's basically just a video of us talking before the show on YouTube. So for people who are listening or whatever,
I'm talking about dumb stuff. It's like 100% dumb stuff.
We talked about that thick woman from 90 Day Fiance last week or last time, and then we talked about what do we even talk about? Anyway, it was dumb. Whole point is that it's dumb. It's basically like just a conversation between us, kind of like in the early days of the show when we would just
stream of conscious the whole show.
Yeah, just black out, and 2 hours later there's a podcast. So yeah, anyway, talking about Alex, I think that was in the thing before. So
yeah.
Anyway, just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. Also, did you see the 3080 stuff from NVIDIA?
I just saw that the performance is great and no one can get one. Yeah. I have a 2080 Ti, and there's all these memes about how like people who bought a 2080 Ti are just mad now because the 3080 is like half the price and better performance. So I don't care. Oh, I have another thing in here.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I think I might. I don't know if my build can handle it, but if it can, I'm gonna try to upgrade to it in like a year or two.
Yeah. Well, I think
because I'm on like a 1080. I'm on a 1070, so like I'm ways behind right now.
It was like 4 years, something like that.
Probably something like that. Yeah.
What game were you playing where you're like, oh, I need to upgrade?
No, there is no game where I need to upgrade currently.
That's the thing, you know. I'm waiting for the game where it's kind of like, oh, I need to do something about this. So kind of in that similar vein, I started playing Crysis Remastered, which came out on Friday. You know, Crysis, I don't know if people know. Basically, the computer melter came out in 2007. At the time, like no one could run it. Literally, no one could run it. The big meme, can't run Crysis. So I was thinking, I have a 2080 Ti, and I have an i7 from 3 years ago or something like that. I can probably run Crysis Remastered just fine, and I can. I also have an ultra wide, so it's higher than 1080. So I didn't think it'd be that big of a problem. But basically, I can't run that game above 60 on medium, and it doesn't look that good. Like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? It doesn't shock me the way that Crysis was originally like a real shocking looking thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that might be because other games have gotten as pretty and also way better optimization for rendering.
And I guess that's what I would expect from this, is that it's remastered, and they also fixed the guts to run better.
I don't think they did.
But like I can run Gears 5 at 100 FPS, like solid, and my computer's fine. This thing I can't really even hit 60 without it chugging, and it's like it's an island with 6 guys on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a cool. I never played the original Crysis.
I'm not either.
I played 2 though. I think I remember us talking about 2 in high school.
Yes.
When it came out. So very different. Crysis 1 is very different from Crysis 2, but I think that's the game where I would kind of like need to upgrade, but I don't think the game is worth me upgrading for it.
No, probably not. I just don't want to have to do a full computer rebuild.
Yeah, that's the thing, is whenever you get a new CPU, it's like, okay, I get a new motherboard.
Yep.
And so most of the time, I mean, I don't know.
I'm not sure. Basically, like rebuilding a whole computer is so expensive, and it's like your options are to like slowly accumulate parts or to like do a running rebuild basically all the time. And I think like 2 gens is pretty good to switch out a graphics card anyway.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, I'm good on GPU for a while, but at some point I'll have to upgrade my CPU, and at some point I think that'll probably be AMD instead of Intel if they kind of continue they continue trying as hard as they are to do better than Intel.
Yeah.
Successfully, by the way, I think in terms of like performance and stuff from what I've read. So I'm going to need to get a new CPU and a new motherboard to fit that new CPU. And then it's like, well, I've only got 16 gigs of RAM. I probably need 32, but now it's DDR4, so we got to get this. And
yeah.
It is that thing of like I started upgrading one thing, and then here I am 5 components later, like $1,300 later.
Yeah.
It's like, well, gonna play Geometry Wars again.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I don't know. The other thing too is like my card is old enough that it can't do ray tracing. And I imagine that eventually ray tracing will be more important when it comes to like lighting games and stuff like that. So bumping up graphics card will probably be like step one, because I have an i7, so I'm probably good there for like another 2 years.
But it depends. If your i7 is from like 10 years ago, then you're kind of
My i7 is from when the 1070 came out.
like 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's about 4 years old now. Ugh, I don't know.
Well, so I would probably upgrade the next round of stuff, because like the 3080 is probably, just because the consoles are coming out now, and it's probably like, things are kind of on par or whatever, but PC will continue to outpace consoles. So whatever the next thing is kind of me being like ahead of the consoles. You know what I mean? That's kind of like my point when I'm doing stuff. I want to be better than the console I can buy.
Oh, see, I guess that doesn't really matter to me, because it's like I could buy a console, but I'm never going to again, probably. Unless there was like one that was totally like VR or something where I don't need to like grip, because that's like my main problem with consoles right now.
It's the Neuralink console.
Yeah.
It just alters your vision so you live in video games all the time.
No, do you know how like frightening that is? Imagine.
So like, just to clarify, when I was talking about how hyped I was on the Neuralink last time, I do not want that. I think it's like, I don't want to be a cyborg. I don't want to do that. I just think it's amazing technology. You know what I mean? No, but I was gonna say, so the PS5. Have you been following like all the nightmare about the PS5?
I heard that people were told that there was gonna be like a really precise and well documented and known drop day, and then like that didn't happen. It was just like, by the way, it's all sold out. And that happened.
Yeah. I was watching all that stuff. I guess what they were doing is they were announcing it, and then they said that the pre-orders would be this day, and then they kind of just like accidentally did them the day before or something, and people just happened to get them and whatever. There's all this stuff, but basically watching it and seeing what games are going to be at launch, I think I'm just not going to get consoles this generation, because I have such a backlog of games I need to play already. It's like, what am I going to spend $500 for Demon Souls? No. I could probably wait 2 years and get a bundle with like a console and the games I really want to play for it. I have no need for an Xbox because all those games are on PC.
Yes.
And PS4 is just for exclusives, which are nice, but I'm not excited about the new God of War because I haven't played the last God of War. You know what I mean? I can't just keep chasing this stuff.
You haven't done yet?
Yeah, like I got older this generation of consoles. Like I was hyped for the Xbox One and the PS4. I got them both within a year of them coming out. Around the same time, I started like getting a real job. And I would argue that those consoles aren't, like the games on those consoles aren't as fun as games like on the 360, which aren't as good as the ones on the PS2, which aren't as, you know what I mean? Like games used to be better. It's kind of like my old man thing.
Yeah, I think you are getting old.
Ratchet and Clank, the original, is better than Knack. That's just true.
Donkey would disagree.
Knack. Anyway, but like my thing is just I don't have a need to buy these new consoles, and I've fallen out of love with console video games over the past 8 years, something like that. So it's kind of a weird feeling, but I think this is the first generation where I just don't really care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, join me in the dark side, the PC side.
But even PC games, I just look at my Steam library and I'm just like, ugh. You know what I mean? Like maybe one day.
No, I don't have that problem. I buy very few games.
No.
Like I basically will only buy a game if I'm gonna play it like right then. Yeah.
I used to do that, and then I think like my first Steam sale happened, and then the Humble Bundles, and I was like, oh, I'm overwhelmed now.
Oh yeah, when you first start doing like, well, especially like back then, because the sales they were like huge. You'd get on Steam and they'd be like, literally everything is $1, and you're just like, well, what am I not gonna play? You just start buying random crap.
It's still like that. It's just every game, like it's the same sale every year. It's like Skyrim's $5, and next year Skyrim's $5. You're like, okay, I bought it already.
You bought it already? Yeah, that too. But also, like, I feel like the sales used to be way bigger back then. And like when Humble Bundle first started to like hit the scene, holy moly, everyone and their mother was buying it, which was like very slowly raising the price in the Humble Bundle. So you wanted to buy it like quickly. Yeah, I don't know. That was a wild ride back then.
Didn't IGN buy Humble Bundle? I want to say the company that like IGN owns the company that does Humble Bundle. I might be wrong there, but some company bought Humble Bundle like a year ago.
Maybe.
And they started doing the Humble monthlies. Started changing.
Probably. I don't know. I don't remember. Humble Bundle, when it first happened, was like a crazy thing because you could just be like, I'm donating all of this to charity.
Yeah.
Like, no one gets any money, 100% to charity.
I hate developers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like, so I think people who are like getting into PC gaming now, it's like they're in the like okay age of PC gaming, to like of buying games, like building a huge library.
That's kind of the nice thing about PC gaming too, is that there's no real wrong time because the backlog's always there. You can play 20, 30-year-old games on PC still.
It's the only way to play like any game that's fallen out of like sale, basically. There's no way to like play games right now on like Xbox or PS that's like not being sold anywhere.
Well, you could try to find like a used game shop, which are dying. You can go to a GameStop, which is dying.
Or like eBay, and like really hope that you're not gonna get like a scratch to hell, like somebody's cat got a hold of this and thought it was a chew toy or something. Like I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's different. I don't know. It's kind of like a weird thing with PC. I would say there is one case of a game where I kind of missed it. So there's a game called like Morai, Morai, on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how it works or how it worked or how anything, but basically I bought it a long time ago, was going through my list of games, trying to just play stuff, and started it up. And then the game literally just gave me a little message. It was just like, this game is no longer available to play. Like within the game. It wasn't Steam. It wasn't any whatever. Like I owned the game. I launched the game. The game told me I could no longer play it. Mm-hmm. And I looked it up, and it was this like weird experiment where it's like a single player thing, but the actions you do influence the game for the next person who plays it. It's like this networked weird crazy thing. It was like a
I think I remember like when this game first came out, like that was super hype for a lot of people.
Yeah, it seems like a really interesting idea. I didn't look into it too much, but it was something that basically only existed in the moment, and then once the internet crazies got onto it, it kind of ruined the thing, and they were like, oh, let's shut this down. So that's kind of what they did. But that game is gone. But for the most part, any game that came out that's single player or whatever, you can still play.
Yeah. I imagine you probably could still play that game too. It would just require some extra work.
I guess I don't know enough about how it works, but like if you like have to manually build up some like number that was output by some other person's game. I don't know. It just sounds like a lot of work.
Listen, I'm sure there's a subreddit, and I'm sure there's a Discord, and I'm sure that they'll walk you through with like very overly detailed I am Imgur album imager.
I think it's Imager. Imgur.
I feel like I've done this before on the podcast.
Probably.
But yeah.
No. I was going to say something. Oh, I don't know. Did you have anything else on your list? Because I have one thing before home game stuff.
Let me look. Okay, this is just real quick, mostly for you. But
okay.
I was walking my dog the other day.
Yeah.
And we walked all the way out, however far we were gonna go out, and then on our way back, she really hyper focused in on something, and I was like, oh no. So I braced up like she's gonna pull and try to like chase after a rabbit or something like that. But she ended up going after what I thought was a water bottle with a condom stretched over it. It wasn't that.
Oh.
I didn't know this, but down here in the Dirty Tea, there are poisonous toads that come out during monsoon season.
Like a horned toad?
It's called a Colorado River toad.
I don't know.
It's like a big old boy. And they're very poisonous. If your dog gets it in its mouth, it can start to foam and then has seizures and then die.
Jesus.
And you have a window of time to like wash them out. Like you can wash out their mouth and stuff, or you have to take them to the emergency vet. Now I don't know. I was like an hour away from home at this point because it's like we got to the furthest point of our walk and we're just trying to head back. So we have like 45 minutes of walking back, and I was just like, I know that the closest vet to me is far away from where we're at right now by just walking. Like it's too far for me to walk there with her. I have to walk home, and hopefully she didn't get it in her mouth. And so we had to walk all the way home, and I had to hose her down, and she's very afraid of the hose. So I'd like hose down her paws, hose out her mouth, hose down her face, and I really had to like tie her to me. It was an experience. So, if anyone's out there in Tucson listening, just be careful because apparently there's poisonous toads that abound.
Did she get it in her mouth or was she just looking at it?
She was stomping on it like it was, like legitimately, I was like, she's trying to get the water out of a water bottle around with a condom wrapped over it. Like she was really crushing down this toad. And then when I finally realized it was a frog, I pulled her off of it and I was like, shit.
Yeah.
What happens now? And I like Google search it while we're walking in like the dark of night. Like, what? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was panic inducing.
So yeah, like that's one of those things where you just see a creature that you have never seen before and it just happens to be very dangerous. It's like you can't really do much,
Yeah.
That's why I just don't leave the house.
I don't know. It is like a demanding thing of just now I have to like learn an entirely different set of knowledge. Like before I would just think about like what is going to attack me as like a human, like a snake might if I get too close, like a Gila monster might if I get too close, javelinas might if I get too close, bears, mountain lions, jaguar. Like those like really things I have to worry about out here.
That's a lot of things to worry about.
Yeah, but now that's like tripled because it's like, well, what is she going to put in her mouth?
Yeah. Is there anything you can do to kind of like learn emergency thing, like an emergency kit for dogs or something like that?
Oh, there might be. I don't know. I'll need to look into classes for that. I'm gonna take her. I'm almost done with intermediate obedience with her. So once we're done with that, I'm probably gonna take a break from that and do snake avoidance, so that she no longer goes after rattlesnakes, which she currently does.
Nice.
So
she's like, no, I could take it. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm sure she could kill us. I think she'd kill a lot of animals. I think that she'd get wrecked from them too, though, and I would have to take her to a vet, or maybe she might not make it. So
No.
Real concerning. And I've had her for less than a year, so I really don't want her to like go after Javelina, and I find her like an hour later and she's not doing so hot.
Yeah, a lot of things in the desert that can do harm.
Yeah, I mean way more than like there's parts of the world where that's not even anywhere remotely a problem.
So to my last topic that I always wanted to get to before we go on to the meat of the podcast.
Yeah.
Do you remember when I told you about the Travis Scott scooter?
Yeah.
It was in December or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was really silly. It was like $500 for a scooter.
And I told you when you're gonna get one.
I didn't get one.
Oh.
So have you seen any of the Travis Scott meal stuff at McDonald's?
My brother bought one of their shirts.
Oh, nice. I was considering it. I was looking.
He bought two of their shirts, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the only reason I know about it.
So I wanted to buy one of those shirts because I just think they're hilarious. And I realized I actually don't want to engage with this because I don't like how he has a McDonald's deal and then he decided to do 3 days of merch with probably like 100 items, just kind of like trying to sell people like me and your brother stuff. I was like, I don't want to be a part of that. You know what I mean? So I abstained, but I did go to McDonald's for the meal because I just wanted to try. I have a receipt from McDonald's that says the Travis Scott.
I saw your Twitter. You're a Tweety boy.
And I thought that was kind of the extent of how much I wanted to engage with this whole thing. But I do think it's kind of amazing that Travis Scott, a rapper who I've been following for a while now, kind of does this merch thing that kind of keeps ramping up in its absurdity to the point where you can buy a $350 mat that is his cartoon face with a burger on it or something like that. It's like, who the fuck is buying this? People, someone's buying this. Someone owns that. But it's kind of just amazing to watch. The burger was okay. It was a McDonald's burger, whatever. But, but the shirts are crazy. And I was really close to buying one at one point. I bought one for another reason, not for myself, but yeah.
I don't understand the like merch stuff. Like I don't really wear merch. So I think the only logoed t-shirt I own is the Home Games t-shirt.
Yeah.
No, that's a lie. I own one for Overwatch and one for World of Warcraft because I'm a nerd.
And there's one particular brand of shirts that you wear where there's the logo, but it's very subtle on all the shirts. But yeah, for the most part, you don't wear
I actually switched off that brand because their quality dropped a little bit.
Oof.
So I switched to a different brand, which has no logo on the outside.
Nice.
So it's even better for me.
Nice.
I don't know. I don't understand. Like, even when we were in college, people would wear like the Lucky Charms logoed T-shirt or like the Guinness logoed T-shirt, and I was always like, why?
Well, it's just a way of it's a simple way of expressing that you're into something. If you're at school and you're wearing a weed T-shirt and someone else can be like, yo, weed,
yo, bro, weed, nice.
It's like a way, especially when you're in college, it's a way to kind of put out some sort of message that you're into something because you're trying to figure yourself out. You know what I mean? Not like in a bad way. I think people are trying to define their identity. So it's like, well, I don't know who I am, but I do like Lucky Charms. So fuck yeah, Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms. I don't know. I never really got into that. I like it.
Yeah.
I like very cut and dry clothing.
Oh yeah, it's like your aesthetic.
It is my aesthetic. My aesthetic is like solid colors, generally darker colors,
Yeah,
and like completely
yeah, like a Mark Zuckerberg,
No,
but without the lizard man.
Yeah. I don't lick my eyeballs while I'm on trial with this. I don't know whatever he was doing.
That's definitely what he was doing, licking his eyeball.
I'm just a regular person who doesn't like merch. I don't like advertising.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think I kind of like to stick to that thing. Like I have 3 shirts that are just solid colors that I kind of rotate. It's like, wow, today it's the gray one, tomorrow the dark gray. But like at a certain point, you got to kind of put the surfing 8-bit man on your shirt. You know what I mean?
See, like that one's cool, and that it's like it's like, oh, that's cool, but it doesn't like. Is that a logo for a company or like
No,
what is
this
that
is
for?
this is just I don't
It's
even
just
know.
a cool surfer man.
It's just a design.
I'm into that.
company
That's
did.
cool.
Yeah.
My brother owns like In-N-Out socks and like the McDonald's T-shirt, and like he wanted to buy an EG's T-shirt.
Yeah.
Like he asked in the drive-through from the drive-through person. They were like, "Do you guys sell those shirts?" And they were like, "No." And he was like,
Fucking
damn,
weirdo.
I am. Yeah, my brother is kind of just like he's out there a little bit. Like he's deep into like this. You tell people what companies you're into, kind of thing.
Well, I kind of like for EG's, I get it because it's a Tucson thing.
I said the same thing about EG. I was like, that's like a hometown favorite thing. Like that's nowhere else, and will never be anywhere else probably.
Maybe. I mean, one day it could be somewhere else, and it'll be cooler because you got it when it was a local thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I have a shirt from a coffee shop in Seattle. It's like my favorite coffee shop I was wearing just yesterday because I wanted to represent. You know, it's like you've never heard of this coffee shop type shit.
Yeah, like imagine if you owned like a Starbucks T-shirt back when it was like a coffee shop in Seattle. Like, wouldn't that would be really cool? 1 and 2, probably worth like a lot of money.
Well, like vintage stuff is actually very popular. Like you can go on apps like Grailed and just look up. Like I was in the market for a Budweiser T-shirt recently because I like Budweiser, but I don't want a Budweiser shirt unless it's old because it's like a weird thing. You know what I mean?
No.
I didn't buy one, but like I want to put a brand on my body. It just says Budweiser. I don't know. It's like something in my brain.
You can do what you want, man. I'm not in charge of anyone else. I don't like it. I wouldn't do it probably.
I'm gonna show up next week looking like a NASCAR. Got
Do
logos
it.
all over.
Do it. I would love that. That'd be pretty funny. Well, okay. Actually, let me reverse my statements a little bit because now I'm thinking about it. I do own like sports jerseys, which is like way more aggressive advertising. That's like you're like all over. It's like,
United Arab Emirates.
oh my! I have the old Bayern Munich jersey, which just had T-Mobile written across the chest, but they don't put the whole of T-Mobile. It's just T-Mob. So it's just like this big T-Mob on my chest, and like it has like the crest and logos everywhere. Like I'm literally just advertising my favorite team.
Yeah.
Like I'm into that, but I wouldn't do like a company, even though a sports team is just a company. Dang it! You know what? I don't have the moral high ground here.
Yeah, we're all just victims.
I'm just a schmuck. I'm just a schmuck who's into sports. And apparently that's all I want to tell people is I'm into sports. I don't want people to know I'm into Lucky Charms.
Yeah. But then you get kind of like the anti people who try to be cool by like, I have a hat on that just says sports because like I'm cooler than people.
Bro.
You know what I mean? Like that's stupid too.
I used to be that kind of guy.
Yeah.
I didn't wear apparel that just said stuff like that. I used to be the person who used to make fun of sports ball to be cool and fit in. But then I realized like sports are sick. so I'm kind of into it.
It's the same thing of finding your identity when you're like, well, I don't like that, so my identity is not liking that. But instead of finding out what you're actually into, you know what I mean?
I think this is like is similar to that, but then it's like for me it was like the realization like, oh, I'm actually very into sports. Like I spend a couple hours a week watching various sports.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Also, when I ordered the Travis Scott thing, I was praying to God that there was a sign up outside so I can just order it with confidence. It's just something I read about on Twitter. But I had to be that guy when I pulled up to the drive-thru. Hi, do you guys have the Travis Scott meal? And she answered me immediately, and she was like exhausted when she's like, "Yeah, we do, sir." I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm that guy." Okay, can I get one of those?
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah.
What is the Travis Scott meal? Is it just straight up just like a regular burger and fries?
A burger. Yeah, it's a quarter pounder with cheese, and I think they put bacon on it. And then
seems not that different than a regular burger.
It's just a month-long promotion, and realistically, McDonald's wouldn't like alter their supply chain to add some new ingredient into it just for a Travis Scott promotion.
Yeah,
it's a Taco Bell strategy. You just keep rearranging the same 6 ingredients. So there's like, well, we got bacon. Let's put it on this thing.
Yeah.
And then it's just that, and then fries with barbecue sauce, not on them, but like on a side.
Yeah, instead of ketchup.
Yeah, and then they're supposed to give you a Sprite with extra ice, but the woman asked me what drink I wanted, and it broke it for me. I was like, you guys don't even care, you know?
I know, they get paid minimum wage and they hate it.
Probably. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to mention the Travis Scott thing. I didn't buy any of his merch for myself. I bought some of his merch for another reason.
I thought you were about to tell me about the scooter, and I was going to be like, boy, I called that months ago.
That was just on sale for like a couple days. It's not a thing anymore.
I'm sure you could get one still if you really wanted.
Probably resale.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to pay resale for a Travis Scott scooter.
If you just keep waiting, eventually that resale value will go down.
You would
You
think.
may need to wait like until Travis Scott's like a nobody, like 50 years from now, but he can't be dead. That's important.
I don't know if that'll ever happen. Travis Scott's huge. But what if like in the future, in the dystopian future, that's the new currency? It's Travis Scott scooters, and I'm like really at a loss. You know what I mean? So I have zero.
You know what? If in the future, like if people really had value on merch, my brother would be set, and I would be so poor. I would probably not be able to afford to eat. I'd be like, I have like 17-year-old jerseys that these teams aren't even sponsored by anymore.
Your home game shirt is one of 30, so I mean that's pretty rare.
My brother, when he saw there was a home game shirt, he immediately was like, "You need to ask Joseph if I can get one." And I was like, "I don't know if we have any more."
I think I actually do have one. It has a weird food stain on it. It was at my mom's house on a counter, and then someone spilled some shit on it. I was like, ugh, and I threw it to the side. But I think that one I can give to Reyes.
I don't think he would care, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, also, I mean, your brother. Not gonna say his name. I think I've said his name on this podcast.
We've
before.
definitely talked about him before. It's fine.
Yeah. Anyway,
It's fine. He would love the attention. For people, I treat my brother like he's a garbage person, but he's actually really nice.
yeah, he's great. I love Reyes.
Not that I would ever tell him that in person, though.
Well, it's gonna be on a recording. So.
Well, that's fine.
Never tell your brother you love him.
He doesn't watch this anyway.
All right, is it time for home game stuff?
It is time for home game stuff.
Do you want to start with home game stuff?
Sure. So this week, yesterday, went on a journey, magical journey, emotional, has highs and lows. It has me going crazy a little bit. But I recorded about 2 hours of me making a game on home games. And as Joseph and I have kind of mentioned, what we wanted to do was have a new piece of content where we make a game together with the audience watching. Not together. We make a game separately that the audience watches us write the code for. We didn't come up with a name for it, so I just named it Let's Make a Game Together Using Home Games. I made a game.
Yeah.
I made some amount of a game.
It's like you didn't. It's not like a complete game.
No, it is not. It is not complete. I ended up running into some stuff, and I have some questions for you. But that's like the overarching idea is that I did do it.
And this is the color tag game?
It is the color tag game. So right now, the way it works is everyone spawns into the map, and then there's 3 seconds where no one is the tagger, and then suddenly somebody is the tagger, but nobody knows who it is. So
Okay.
part of the problem is I need to give a pop-up to the person who is the tagger.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, I need to have a pop-up to say, like, when everybody is in the game, press this button and we'll pick a tagger.
Mm.
So I need to give that to player one. I need to, once that button is pressed, then I need to alert the tagger that they are the tagger. No one else knows who the tagger is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be kind of funny. And then the last thing I need to figure out is how everybody who is tagged knows which piece they are. Because right now they change color. So we have like 8 red squares roaming the map. Who is who?
Oh, okay.
And what I want to do is add vision to this game so that you can only see a couple blocks
Radius.
ahead of you. And then, like, if you're tagged, maybe you see some more blocks. But maybe not. I think it'd be kind of funny if you were hiding the whole time and suddenly you see like a red square go by. Red isn't the tagged square, by the way. The tagged square color is the color for whoever is marked as the tagger. So it could be like blue or red or green or yellow, whatever. Just not black or gray. But yeah.
Just do random colors, make it even more confusing. Just colors.random color every time.
There is color.random color. Oh, and just
joke.
even
Don't do
let them
that.
do overlaps from the beginning. That'd be too complicated.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I want to add vision so that you can at least know who you are. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Figure this out.
So where did it go wild for you?
Where it went wild for me was when I switched to the home game's core collision detection stuff. The problem with it is it detected if edges are touching
Yes.
as a collision, which doesn't work because that was
If I do that, that's a collision.
yeah. But the way it was working in the move test is that it doesn't actually allow you to move into that square if there would be a collision, which is what I want. So I had to add in, and even then, I want you to be able to enter the same. I want you to be next to another player or terrain. I just don't want you to be on top of another player or terrain.
Yeah, you could be.
Yeah, I added.
Oh, you're talking about like zero distance.
I need you to be able to be zero
to
distance.
touch something.
To touch something.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
So what I ended up having to do was change the collision detector to add in a severity of collision number. So now instead of just returning the node in an array, it returns an object containing node and then like an indicator for severity of touch.
How do you indicate severity?
So basically the way I did severity was how many sides are touching. So if there's a collision and 0 sides are touching, then you are on top of the other square. If it's 1 side touching, then you're okay. If it's 2 sides touching, you're okay. If it's 3 sides touching, something weird is going on, and that's not okay.
What about non-rectangle?
Yeah, the problem is that all of our logic in collision is based on rectangles
at the moment. Yeah.
at the moment.
What if
basically I pulled apart the or operators, because it's like if this is less than this or if this is less than this, and then there's like then there's like this 4 comparisons. I just do a subtraction, right? Because I just need to know what the distance is between the sides. It's like if any of the sides are, then you have like a range of what fits, right? Because you'd have like if 0 sides are touching but there is a collision, they're on top of each other. If 1 side is touching but there is a collision, then that's okay. If it's 2 sides, that's okay too. If it's 3, maybe not okay, so on and so forth. And it's up to the game then to handle to
figure out what to do
with that severity number to figure out how they want to handle it.
What if it gave you the overlapping area of the shapes? That seems more like
The overlapping area.
Yeah.
So if they're touching, that'd be area would be 0.
Yes, but it is still touching. Like I can be like my atom on my arm can be just barely touching the atom on yours. The overlap is 0, but we're touching.
Yes.
I could be I could reach my whole hand in you, and the overlap is my hand.
Interesting. That might be a little bit more complicated to figure out.
Yeah, it's more math, but I guess my thing is, it isn't super clear that severity ABC translates to sides 1, 2, 3. It's kind of like
I didn't call it severity. I think right now it's number of. I think it's. I think it's whatever value I called it. It was something about vertices, but it's really I need to change that to sides in contact. Yeah.
Okay, and then because we do have shapes, like on the shape test, I have a weird triangle inverted thing. So I wonder how we would do these kinds of things, where if I had kind of like a thing like this and another thing kind of going into it, and it would be touching like 2 sides.
Yeah.
At the bottom, you know what I mean?
Interesting. Unsure. luckily my game is just a grid, so I don't have to worry about like half stepping and stuff like that. And I actually at several points in the be recording myself, I had to open up Paint and draw out the rectangles to figure out what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that it does need some work, but that was like my big hang up was figuring out that I needed that collision detection, 2, figuring out how I wanted to handle that, and 3 of just like figuring out like what. So that was like an hour or more of
Yeah. Did you enjoy the like recording it? I haven't seen it, by the way.
Yeah. So it starts and I'm super nervous, and then like somewhere in between, in the begin, like somewhere in this thing, I become comfortable, and you can kind of tell I'm much more loose and like chill.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you can really see that I'm becoming like frayed a little bit. I'm like, fuck, this isn't working. And I think at the end, I'm just basically like, this is super scuffed. Like, all right, if you care at all, like leave a like or whatever. Check us out on Home Games.
Oh, did you hit him with a like, comment, subscribe?
I said like leave a comment or a like or whatever, and then I really don't remember my exit on this thing, but like
you kind of blacked out and did like the old podcast.
A little, yeah. I definitely had a lot of the like old school podcast vibes, except that there wasn't like another person for me to like
bounce off,
chill with.
Yeah.
It was more like I'm here and trying to like write code in front of some number of viewers.
Yeah. Do you think it works? I guess just from like, did you enjoy doing it? Do you think it was kind of a good thing for you to like a good use of your time, basically?
Yeah. So I think that it helps me focus. I think that I need to chill a bit.
Don't we all?
I also think that it is great practice for me because I am very anxious around doing stuff that other people are going to watch me do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's a good thing. It's kind of like when you're doing a job interview and someone's watching you write code and you know they're judging you and you're just like, oh God.
I definitely had I'm about to do a job interview panic set in right before I hit the record button.
Yeah.
And I was super nervous, and you can tell from my intro.
Yeah.
I like literally rehearsed the first 5 minutes of the intro, and then when I hit that record button, it all just disappeared, and I was like,
Yeah, that's how it goes.
But yeah, I think it was beneficial. I think it was pretty good. I think that the end result is a piece of a game, the majority of a game that works.
Nice.
That should be pretty fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. When I was thinking of how I wanted to do mine, I was thinking I would do like basically a lot of prep work of like, here's my design for the game, here's the components I need to write for it, here is this kind of stuff, and I would kind of break it into chunks. But I think maybe just like freeballing it like that might also be good. I don't really know. I guess I'd have to see your video to be like, that was great.
Yeah,
you know?
so I'll put it out this week. I'll probably put it up tomorrow or today, depending on what time I get back from my walk.
Yeah.
It just totally messed up our release schedule. But at any rate, yeah. I will just put out the whole 2 hours this time, but I definitely think we should just chunk them better. I think you're right about like maybe like 30-minute increments and like really doing it. Basically, I knew what I wanted to do and that I needed to start with the square code, trim it down. It's like I basically like walk people through at the very beginning. Like I was like, I'm gonna take the square code, trim it down, modify it to our new game, make sure that works, then do a refactor because there's some stuff I want to clean up in there, like using the inbuilt player array instead of having my own player array that's maintained. And just like little things like that. But then I needed to use the collision detection. That's like a big rework piece that I wanted to switch to, and it did remove like 100 lines of code or something. So it's like really nice. So it makes the game like even shorter than it already was.
Nice. Yeah. Also, the collision detection is like, I think it's a weird interface. You got to give it a node that doesn't necessarily exist and just see if they would collide at these 2 points. It's weird. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on how you want to do that. You can also just change it in this pull request.
Well, I made changes to add that severity stuff to it, but I'm okay with passing it in like a coordinate and a whole ass node. I think is important. I think your filter function is in reverse to JavaScript's regular filter function though.
What do you mean?
I think your filter function is if it's true, it's filtered out, as opposed to if it's true, it's left in the array.
Oh, maybe that's the case.
Which I noticed, and I was like, I'm not dealing with this in the middle of all this other stuff going on.
Yeah, it might be flipped like that. I could make it more conventional, whatever the correct convention is.
Or it's not. Yeah, I think it is the reverse. But
Yeah.
there were some collision questions I had for you, and just a question in general.
Sure.
Why is a node colliding with itself?
Because. So, what do you mean? Like, are you saying when you pass A and B being the same node? Because I mean,
Sorry, hold on. I'm actually stupid.
because by definition, it would like if it's overlapping itself, it is. colliding with
And there's
itself.
actually logic in your collision detection. If the node IDs match up, they're ignored.
Yeah.
You have a pre-filter condition.
Yeah, it's kind
But
of.
you also have that in your move test collision detection as part of the filter in there. So I just need to remove that from there.
Yeah, I think the move test predates the collision detection stuff that I did, so I maybe left that in as like an old remnant of that, but
Maybe.
I don't think it needs to be there. But yeah, I remember. I think the interface for that is you give it a node, and then another node, and it'll check if any node within the root, like using this node as a root, it'll traverse the subtree and see if anything collides with it except for the filters. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So then if I have a node that exists as a child of, like, say I pass it the entire game route, this node would collide with itself because it's on top of itself, whatever it would check against itself. So we need to have a check of if it's not me, then it's colliding with something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So it does have that check built in, and I'm just stupid, and I only realized that right now.
You are not stupid. You were simply reading an example that was outdated.
The next question: why does a node have both color and fill?
Great question. I don't know.
Which one of those is the actual important value?
Fill. But okay. So fill is the thing that gives you a practical color, like the actual color of the thing. Color is required because I don't have a check for it on the client. It basically assumes there's always a color. So I need to do some of that stuff. That's actually one thing I was working on is with my objectification stuff. So I have I think I already have a branch up for it.
You do.
Yeah.
I have to review it, and I saw you tag me with hello, and I was
That
like,
was on the other one.
well, I'm not doing this right now. I'm in the middle of something.
Well, there was the other one. It was like a 2-week-old.
Yeah,
Anyway, so anyway, the objectification thing I have where you can just pass color or you pass fill or you pass whatever. You can selectively pass your parameters like that. So in that, I need to update so not having a color doesn't break it.
I see.
Because I don't know why.
Would it be possible to have the color as the outline of the shape and the
That is
fill
what
as
it
the
is.
fill?
That is what it is.
Does it actually work that way?
I think so. Yes.
So the reason I'm asking that is because that would actually be perfect for color tag, because I could leave you outline your color originally, and then your inside could be the color of the tag.
You should look at the dashboard because the dashboard has that scroll bar, and that scroll bar has a border on it. So I don't remember how I implemented that, but that is that.
Yeah, I was also gonna pull the modal out of that dashboard when you open up a new.
I was looking at the dog food on the floor.
Oh yeah, my dog has a Kong toy that I put food into, and then she knocks it around and eats it off the floor.
Yeah. Anyway, just sorry to meet you.
No, you're good. I was concerned there was like a moth or something in here.
He's definitely afraid of moths. By the way.
I am. Whatever I was talking about, we'll just say it's.
Border.
Oh yeah. So I'll look at the border
Modal.
stuff. I need to pull out the modal code. I actually, before I started writing this, I knew I needed a modal, and I thought about maybe just making a common core, like a utility, to make a modal node.
Yes, we need a lot of common utilities.
Yeah.
This is something that maybe we could talk about when we do our Unity episode, which I think is still planned at some point.
Yeah, I just need to know like a little bit ahead of time.
Yeah.
Not this weekend because we're participating in a tournament, so I don't think he's gonna.
Yeah. Well, maybe no, 50 is special, so maybe 51.
Yeah. That works.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we need a lot of common utilities. I was working on the city clicker stuff a little bit yesterday with JC, and kind of just giving me input on what I should be doing and stuff like that. Colors and stuff like that, like all the look of the city clicker is basically all JC. And stuff like that. So anyway, I ran into this bug. I rebased the city clicker on top of the change in Home Games Master to filter out the stuff in the squisher before sending it to people. And I realized that interface for hiding and showing game nodes is super nasty. So she's fine. But basically I ran into this bug where I was adding and removing players to and from nodes, and because the logic is kind of magical that says if the list is empty, it's a public node. If the list has a 0 at the front, it's an invisible node. If the list has numbers, those are all player IDs. That is how the actual data is read and like retrieved. But I don't want that to be the direct interface for making something invisible or not, because I ran into this bug where I would have one view, 2 views initialized as invisible. Take one player and add it to another view. So I would have to remove them from the first one and then make it invisible again, which means I would need to take the list of 0, remove the 0, add the player ID. When I remove that player ID from the view, need to check if the list would be empty, because if it will be empty, then I'm not going to try to make it public. So I need to add a 0 back. Shit like that. So I had a bug where basically moving between views would get you stuck in one view because one became public, and there's this whole dumb thing. Yeah. It took me 20 minutes to figure it out. So kind of along the same lines of like needing a common thing of tools, like, oh, I want to show a modal here. Oh, I want to have a thing that just makes it like an invisible node. Make a public node. That should be easier to do than just...
I think we also want getters and at least setters for our node properties, because having to like go node.node.node.color and node.node.node.fill was actually like...
It's not node.node, it's node.node.color.
It is that, yeah. I didn't want an extra node there.
So one thing I was thinking of is you could have a setter, but I feel like just kind of goes against JavaScript. But it would also make it easier for us to do the listener stuff. We wouldn't have to have the weird listenable proxy object thing. But what we can also do is on each of the constructors for the .shape.text.asset, do a set property on myself, everything on the node. It's kind of hacky, but like basically have a list of these are the node properties, run through the list and set my property to be the one on the node, so we could avoid the .node thing. You can always access .node directly, but as a convenience, you put it.
Yeah. I think the reason I wanted the setter in there was because it feels weird to just be like, I'm just like altering internal class information. Which, I mean, you're right, that is like a JavaScript thing, like you can do whatever, wherever, but I do think we might want to just implement slightly more object-oriented design, or we're going to really have problems probably down the line.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because, I mean, it works for you and me because we know where, I was like, okay, like if I log out the node here, I know what I'm looking for, but if you don't, and it's just like, here's an array, you're not going to know what that array indicates.
Yeah, I think it needs... That whole interface is definitely better than it was 6 months ago, which was better than it was a year ago, but it's still not where it should be.
Not yet.
I don't really know what the correct answer is. I don't know if I want to do setters because that feels it feels like Java. Anything with a setter feels like Java to me. And I've been writing some Java lately outside of this stuff, and I like the freedom of JavaScript is not that, but whatever, that's a personal thing. So I guess I don't really know what the correct way to go forward is, but yeah, that's something to think about.
We could have setters on there, which would be nice, but we could always just not use them. Like, I think it's optional if I use a setter or not.
That might be confusing though for people, because then it's like, what's our suggestion? Like,
our suggestion, if you don't know what you're doing, is to use the setter.
But you don't. I guess it feels confusing for me to say, yeah, we wrote these setters, you should use the setters, but you don't have to use the setters. It's like, well, if I'm trying to learn, what do I do?
I don't think we would say, but you don't have to use those setters. I think if somebody who knows JavaScript is out there and is like, oh, this is just an object, I can do whatever I want to it.
Yeah, but I think that's the ultimate knowledge of what you're trying to get to, right? Like if you're learning and you realize, oh, this is an object, these people added setters. It's like a training wheel that we hope that you get rid of.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
So the reason I think that that's a better idea is because it's more clear, and also if people are maybe used to an object-oriented language like Java or like C or like that family of languages, it would be an easier transition over. But I mean, we don't have to. It felt like something that would make life possibly easier.
It would certainly allow us to have more optimization stuff too, because like at the moment, like I said, every object is wrapped in this listener, which just looks at the property that you changed and then triggers some update event, which is kind of not always necessary. Like if I update I'm trying to think of something.
The node ID.
I don't know when we ever would do that, but yeah, I guess it is an example. If we update the node ID, we don't want it to update because that doesn't have any material impact on anything other than the internal guts. So we can kind of handle that better. I don't know enough about where I think all this stuff is going to be eventually, but at the moment, I'm just thinking we would have more control over what updates trigger callbacks and stuff.
I agree.
Yeah, instead of having a magic dot anything triggers an update.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would help us. The other thing too is like, at a certain level of like advanced user, they could probably just add additional properties. Like I add an additional property to the nodes, right? Like I say if that node is tagged or not. So I mean, like having setters there is more of like a stopgap between understanding that you can do whatever you want and kind of cleanliness in the code.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that is the right way to go. I obviously something to think about or whatever, but yeah. Not done yet.
No.
We just keep saying that forever. It's not done.
I mean, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was it for me though.
Cool. Oh no. Alex beat one of my scores.
Kill him.
I'll get him when I get home. Me and Alex are in a competition, Geometry Wars 3, and he finally beat one of my scores. So now something inside of me is raging to destroy him. So anyway, like I said, worked on the Click City stuff. Got very, very basic progress on that. Got it working with all the rebase stuff on Master. And I introduced the concept of criticals. So you basically get a chance to hit a critical whenever you click. And you can pay to upgrade that chance so it starts at 1% and increases linearly, so it doesn't have the scaling. None of this.
Oh, you mean in the game? I thought you were like, this is how we're gonna make money. I was like, what?
No, yeah, it's just like I said, still the clicker game. Still really haven't fleshed out the city side of it, but added the idea. So when you click, there's a 1% chance, or you can increase it, chance to hit a critical, which will do 3x damage. The kind of basic thing. Also added a stats menu. So there's stats on the side. It shows you how many times you've clicked, how many enemies you've killed, your current attack power, your current critical chance. And basically ran into some trickiness there. I guess I don't want to go too into specifics, but essentially it's text where the label does not change, but the value constantly changes. You know what I mean? Like attack power is there. The value will change.
Yeah.
Kills constantly changes. So the old way to do this would be like clear children. Just on a tick, clear the children and rewrite the children. Look at the current stats and write new text nodes. Clear out the text nodes, write new text nodes. You could also update the text directly, which is what I actually want to be doing. But when I do that, I basically need a way to the text is formatted. It's label value. So it's not one node, it's actually two. I can make it one, but then it's tricky. How do I get just enough spaces in this to make it look correct? I don't know how that scales or does anything, right? It's just weird. So I need basically two nodes, key value, for as a child of this menu, and I just update text instead of clearing the children, because at the moment the text is constantly flickering because I'm removing and adding every second multiple times. So it's just it's terrible looking. So I just need a way to basically this is a basic problem, right? I just need to display text and update some of it. Because consistently.
Yeah.
But I don't have a good way to do that. It's kind of one of the things we talked about where like we just find basic gaps in the tooling because we haven't yet hit specific problems, but this is one of them. So I need a good performant way to track these text nodes and update just the ones. I can do all of this kind of within the game itself and just create some map to nodes and all that kind of thing and just know how to access them. But it seems like a thing that we would need to generalize because it seems common.
Yeah.
So just like a way to solve that kind of a problem. Also fixed that click bug I was talking about last episode with the bezel, with adding the bezel and then basically accurately tracking the click within the kind of scaled game within the bezel. Because the client doesn't have any idea what the bezel is there. It just takes the raw XY and sends it off to the game server. The game server has to know that translated XY within the thing. And I like don't know the math, but I figured out the math. Like I just like I just had a moment where I was like, what if I just do like 100 minus the X factor of the, anyway, I did math. I can't explain it. I don't even remember it, but it's in the thing, fixed the click scaling. So that's all there. Nice. I also updated the bezel size. So it's stored in the config instead of being kind of hard coded all throughout the thing. So you can kind of do a consistent bezel pretty easily now. So yeah, the bezel stuff is almost ready. Or I think I sent out a PR for it. So it is ready for review. Click City stuff, like I said, yeah, just added the critical stuff in the stats menu and kind of hit that little problem with the updating text stuff. I also started working on versioning in a serious way. So like I did that initial look into it before where it was just like, oh, I can add multiple versions of a dependency. You can. So realize the client is a bundled thing up with Webpack. Therefore, it needs to import every version of the Squish engine, the Squish dependency.
Every supported version.
Yeah, every version to bundle it in. And then it needs to get a message from the game server to say what version this is so it can programmatically switch out to that other version and say, okay, well now Squish is equal to this version and now Squish is equal to this, which works. I tried that and it works. Except like the game renders, but the clicks don't work at all. So I don't know what the hell.
Okay.
I broke something in there. And I don't know what it is. It might be some weird, crazy, deeply core problem of what I'm doing with all these different versions of dependencies and something. But yeah, basically made some progress there. It is possible, I think, to do what we want to do. It's kind of maybe not the way that JavaScript is supposed to work. So it feels like I'm breaking something, but it does work. So
nice
for the most part.
Hooray.
But yeah, that's it for my home game stuff. A lot of little things.
Hey, that was also mine for home game stuff. So ready to move on to Song of the Week.
Song of the Week. So your Song of the Week, this was 2 weeks ago when we recorded the previous one that came out this past Wednesday. So I feel like it's been forever since we did this, but your last Song of the Week was Blinding Lights by The Weeknd.
Yeah, I actually forgot about that. I was like, oh, whoa.
Yeah. It feels weird, right? Like we took a week off. I don't know. It's been a while. So I didn't even listen to that song this week. I know what it is. I've listened to it, It's kind of funny. I was just thinking that song and Heartless came out at around the same time as singles, I think in like December. And I heard Heartless first and was like, that song is great. I heard Blinding Lights and was like, that song, a real stinker. Not going to go off, not going to do anything. And it became like the thing, yeah. So I just thought it was kind of funny how I was wrong there. I mean, Heartless is big too, but yeah, cool song. It sounds like Outrun.
It does sound like Outrun.
Yeah. I guess it's like
I do love me some Outrun.
But yeah, cool, good song. I also wanted to say I heard Wishing Well by Juice WRLD on the radio recently, and it's kind of the reverse of this because you did this after it was popular, but you didn't know.
Yeah. I
made Wishing Well my song of the week a couple months ago, and then it kind of got big, so I get the hipster points, and you lose the hipster points.
How did I lose my hipster card in a single week is the thing. But The Weeknd's he slaps. I like his work.
Yeah, big slappers. I can see the name of your song of the week though, and you already have the hipster points because I don't know what that is. So
Yeah, it's about 10 times less popular than The Weeknd.
great. Well, I mean, 10 times less popular than The Weeknd is still very popular. If I were 10 times less popular than The Weeknd, we would have some views on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. You're not wrong. Most of her views are in Australia, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kangaroos listening to it and stuff
Kangaroos listening. Kangaroos and the Didgeridoos.
like that. That's a good band name. Kangaroo and the Didgeridoos.
Kangaroo and the Didgeridoo. That is actually a good band name.
Yeah, my song of the week though is a good one. It's a really good one.
Oh, okay. What's the song of the week?
Fuck, let me get the line really quick. So my song of the week is called. I didn't even write it down. What a fool.
No, you didn't.
Spurs 3. No, I just wrote the artists.
Oh.
So the song is called Spurs 3 by Griselda, which is the group with Benny the Butcher.
Oh, okay.
And the creator of it, his name is West Side Gun, and another guy named Conway the Machine, whose album came out this week. Here we go. Okay. So, I had an outstanding warrant for a short. Turned myself in rockin' Louis and all my jewelry I wore to court. Cop pulled me over in my imported Porsche. He said, "This car must be $100K. I said, "You're 40 short."
Ooh.
That's like one of those, you're just like, ugh, when you hear it the first time.
Yeah.
So I had that a few times. There's another one in this song, which I will not say on this, but it's very good, and you'll probably know what it is when you hear it. It's a great song. Spurs 3 with basically the entirety of Griselda. It's one of these rap songs that it's getting kind of a resurgence with these three dudes in particular. Like Benny the Butcher was one of my songs, whatever, a few months ago. I just love.
Who I like.
Yes. Yeah. Just a different type of rap. It's not about the energy or the melodies or whatever. It's just dudes rapping and like wordplay and all that kind of stuff. So you should listen to this song. It's very good.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. I have a long list of songs that I had to listen to. So Watch My Shoes by Lil Wayne. Mm-hmm. Did not like this one. Unsurprising maybe, but did not.
What about that opening line?
What was the opening line again?
No ceilings, mother effer. Good morning. Dick in your mouth while you're yawning. I'm going in.
That's right.
Well, okay. He just raps.
It's just not my thing, man.
Yeah,
it's not like I think it's bad. It's just not my thing.
Is it the voice? Is it the flow?
I think it's the energy. I think it's the energy. It's a very aggressive hype song, and I'm very much so very into like chilled out stuff.
I'll bring it to your front door like you ordered me.
That reminded me of DMX.
Interesting, right? Just because it was
the
like
non-stop open up the door. It's real. The non-stop pop up of stainless steel. Like literally. Like this song felt like a compliment to that song.
Okay.
So I don't know.
I'm surprised you know a DMX line at all. That's amazing.
I know like that whole like opening of that song. I know by heart.
That's awesome. But yeah, not surprising that you didn't love it, but I'm glad you listened to it.
Yeah, I will say though, "Safe" by Young Thug. Young Thug, really liked this song. Really liked it. I have no idea where to find it on Spotify. Though.
It's not on there. It's just on YouTube.
I'm never gonna listen to it again.
I guess it was recorded for an album that he was gonna release, and then it just kind of got.
It just disappeared.
Yeah, but the song and video are still up on YouTube.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
really good. This might be my favorite song with Young Thug.
Nice. I'm glad you liked it. I just love showing people that song because it shows his range. Like he can do a song like that and a song like Digits, which I don't know if you've heard, but high energy. Anyway.
And then Young Dolph.
Make No Sense
featuring Key Glock.
So that song was gonna be my song of the week last episode, and then I swapped it out because I really wasn't feeling it for the other one. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. No.
But okay, when the song ends, when like the Young Dolph part ends,
right,
and Key Glock comes in, which is that, yeah, bitch, I still wear Gucci. That part is like the best part of the song. What do you like? You think it's over,
probably,
and then it's not.
Yeah.
But that wasn't enough to make it like really my song of the week. That's why I changed it.
I really like the ad libs in hip hop.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Like what specific ones from this song?
None on this song.
Okay.
Honestly, I'll be real. But like in Young Thug's one of his ad libs is really funny, and I don't remember what it is off the top of my head anymore.
Different time zones.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. That one. I was like, nice. Like he literally is just explaining the previous line in the song. I was like, cool.
Yeah, because the line is, "I was out the country. I ain't know what time I'm on." And
Yeah.
back different time zone.
Yeah. Like that song in Safe, like he does it a couple of times, especially in the opening, and I was really into it. Really into it.
Yeah.
And then The Weeknd by Mac Miller. That was okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's fun. It's a fun song.
Yeah.
It'll be good by the weekend.
At first I thought it was Not This One by The Weeknd, but that's not a song. So
Yeah, I wrote not this one because that was a note for the Young Dolph song, and then The Weeknd by Mac Miller.
Yeah.
I guess that's hard to search.
I was like, something is not right here.
Yeah.
But my song of the week this week is Lie to Me by Vera Blue.
Okay.
Don't think you're gonna like this one, but it is. I really like it.
So is it an Australian person or band?
Yeah,
or?
it's like Australian indie pop
Okay.
with a lady singer.
You never know. Sometimes it's surprising, when I kind of hit you with that was okay, as opposed to this was trash.
Yeah, it's definitely not like as sparse as some of the other songs I've sent you. So it is more in that vein than The Weeknd is.
Is this a recent song or like an old?
I think this
thing?
is her brand new album.
Okay.
It's like the title
Cool.
song.
Yeah. I will check that out.
Please do.
Yeah.
What were your song? Oh yeah, we did your song of the week.
Yeah, I did my song of the week.
Holy.
I did the whole line. You 40 short.
That's right. That line is pretty.
My imported Porsche. 40 short. Anyway, yeah, that's it for songs of the week. I have no rapid fire questions.
I have no rapid fire questions this week either.
So is that it?
I think that's all.
Am I taking us out?
I think you took us out last time. No.
Yeah.
I'll take us out.
Okay. Yeah.
How about this? We switch off. You do the intro next time.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
All right, but no, you can't reuse intros, so you can't
shit,
say
I gotta
new and
do the 2
improved.
words.
Yeah.
Okay. I already got one.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. We will catch you next week. As always, our music was done by our friend Tynan or at Nitan on Bandcamp. You can catch us on Twitter at homegames.io or on our website, homegames.io. Do you have a message to the audience?
Thank you for listening. We really appreciate it.
As you can hear my dog in that water.
I don't know if the mic's going to pick that up, but the dog is slurping right now. She's hydrated.
Well hydrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next week. See you later.
Bye.